Hey everyone. So it's Saturday morning, and I woke up with a lot of anxiety. I think I forgot to take the Klonopin yesterday, which never happens. I've taken it every single day consistently for like 2 years, so I couldn't remember enough, and I didn't want to take it again just in case I'd be doubling up. So I said, you know what, I'm just not going to take it, and I'll probably feel it, but I'll work through it. So I had a weird dream, and that's probably the Paxil and maybe a little bit of missing the Klonopin. But even the when the weird dreams happen and they're based on like good topics, like I'll just tell you, it was a dream about one of my friends that I'm really close to. Like I like him a lot, and of course it was a dream, but it's super annoying because it's still like, well, why is it that vivid, and why do I wake up with like such anxiety? Part of it is because of that, because it's a vivid dream, and I know why it's happening because of the Paxil, and I know I don't want it. Anyway, so I get up, and right away I'm hit with like obsessive thoughts, and I think this is part of the withdrawal from Paxil, because I didn't have it this bad before. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'll look at something, like, I'll just tell you what happened. I looked at something in my window that is a decoration. It's a cross, and I really like it, but I was looking at it, and then I had this negative thought, and then I had the urge to get rid of the thought, and I had to keep looking at it while not having the thought. And of course, when you try to not have the thought, a lot of times it's still there because you're trying not to have it. So, and I've done this before where I've just let go of it, the thought, allowed the anxiety to be there, and just adamantly said, no, I'm not interacting with it. I'm not doing any behaviors. I'm just letting it be there, and I'm moving on. And the act of doing that was what kind of lessened it. The only thing is, if this happens to you all day into the night, eventually you get to the point where you just become exhausted with it. And it is frustrating. So I'm hoping at some point, at some level of the Paxil, that will stop, because I'm sitting here laying in my bed because I happen to look over here. It's just ridiculous. And then I stayed with it for like 5 minutes trying to get it to stop, knowing that that's not what I should be doing, but because it's so uncomfortable and it creates this awful sensation in your body, you really have the urge to eliminate it. So I end up getting up, go grab coffee, come back here. I'm scrolling, which I'm going to stop doing, because when you are scrolling, you're really allowing yourself to be exposed to any number of upsetting things, and it does have an effect on you. Like I saw some sad news, and it's extremely sad, and I follow a lot of these animal rescue pages. Horrible. I'm not even going to say what I read, but it's almost every day. So instead, I think if I go on something like Facebook, I'll purposefully search for whatever I want to see, instead of taking a risk and scrolling mine without being able to know what it is. So I don't know. So I get back here, and I have a tight stomach, tight throat. I feel nauseous, and I start getting these ripples through my arms and legs, and I know it's adrenaline. It's what it always feels like. It's a creepy, crawly, hot sensation that comes, and it even goes up my scalp when it gets really bad, and that's usually when the panic attack is in motion, and really you can't stop it. You have to just let it come. I have this one's a podcast, I think. I have Drew Linsalata's The Anxious Truth podcast on that I'm listening to, and I want to recommend him because he's really good. Like his work is based off his personal experience with panic disorder, and it also parallels Dr. Claire Weeks, her work, who I like a lot too, and I recommend her too. He has a ton of free YouTube material, and the book is really good too. I have all the books. He has like 3, I think, and they're cheap, but you don't even need the books because you can just do the podcast or you can do his YouTube videos. So it helps, and it all revolves around you're supposed to allow it. And as hard as it is, and we're going to see this later too, because I have to go to the store, and it always gets bad. And anywhere, like in public, even though I've never been afraid, it's never really the situation. It's just what's happening to me while I'm there. And I always end up wanting to leave. So I'm gonna bring you guys with me later to see how that goes. I always get to a point where I can allow it, and then it reaches a level where it's like, okay, you start to wonder, is this anxiety or is something really wrong? And usually that's the point where it'll get worse. So, I don't know, it is so frustrating. But I sense these physical symptoms, and they really do come on subtly, and they build and build and build. And if the idea is that you're supposed to allow it in order for it to run its course, it's a huge, tall order to be able to do that. So that's what I'm trying to do. And hopefully the withdrawal from these two medications aren't going to make it that much harder. But I mean, I'm already like on edge, and I notice too certain thoughts I have. So it is important what you think. And obviously it's hard to control, your thoughts, and you're really not supposed to try to, despite the strong urge you have to do it. I guess, I'm just going to keep trying to allow it. But I notice when these negative thoughts come, the physical symptoms will increase or new ones will come. Like I still have the adrenaline. I can feel it coursing, and my stomach's tight, and then my chest will feel like it weighs 20 pounds trying to breathe, even though I can breathe just fine. And I've confirmed this anyway. I have one of those pulse oximeters, and it always says, 98%. It's never because I really can't breathe. But that's what the adrenaline can do to you. So I just wanted to recommend that podcast and the books, because I think they're helpful, especially Dr. Claire Weeks too. And if you guys have any suggestions when it comes to panic disorder, especially in the context of what your panic disorder is going to feel like when you're coming off of these awful drugs, which ironically were prescribed to you to treat the panic disorder. If you have any advice that you want to share, I'd really appreciate it. And later on today, we'll be going into the store to see how that goes. And hopefully everybody has a good Saturday. Thank you.